Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week.
It's pretty decent. A lot of there was one guy did get me with the bit where he was like, he was talking about Elon Musk. He's like, I don't know if you guys heard this, but he legalized comedy. And he's like, so I'm saying this within the full jurisdiction now that comedy is legal. Somebody should kill that guy. He's like, this is a joke. I'm just joking, but jokingly, someone should definitely kill this guy, like ideally tomorrow or something. But it was good.
I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, oh man, that guy's been real quiet lately. Like he hasn't done.
He started the America Party.
Yeah, I was like, he hasn't done anything lately, and then I remembered. About 4 months ago, I blocked the words Elon and Musk on Twitter, and so I just haven't heard anything about him.
Yeah. It does wonders for your mental health.
Well, it's been great. Yeah. There's so many things on Twitter I see that are replies to other things that I just can't see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this place is heaven now. It's all just pictures of Superman, basically.
Oh boy. Well,
real quick before I forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
That reminded me. You know the theory that we live in a simulation?
Yes.
We do.
You're the second person to bring this up to me today, oddly, because it's only 1 p.m. on a Sunday, but go ahead.
We do, and I'm sorry, but it's mine. The other day, about a week and a half ago, talking to my partner.
Yeah.
Just casually about this and that, asked me what my favorite tea is, and I went, probably green tea. I'll fuck up a green tea real good. Then, a few days later...
You walked in with green tea?
Very highly anticipated video game for myself, Death Stranding 2, came out.
The drink of choice is green tea?
Yes, in the first game, the drink of choice is Monster Energy drink, and they replaced it with green tea in this one. I went, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to start slamming green teas, because this is a sign.
Yeah.
Chris, you know what Arizona green teas have on them now? Just the green teas?
Huh.
Besides this one I have with me right now?
Huh.
Just fucking pictures of Superman.
All your favorite things converging.
All my favorite things in one. Yeah.
Well, we watched the Superman.
We did. Would
you like to talk about the Superman first?
Yeah, I watched it more recently, so yeah, we can do that. Let me open my notes.
Yeah, I've opened my notes too. First note I wrote down was no notes. I did take notes, but as I was watching, I was just like, you know what? I like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Second note I wrote down, it's just fun.
Did you watch the Donner cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched some of the first one too because Zeta had never seen it, so I was watching a little bit of it as I kind of came and gone, doing other things and stuff. But the whole time I was watching both, I love, especially in the first one, like it's noticeable in a lot of the night scenes, but there's just like a haze to the film.
Yes, I would say for
super nostalgic.
Superman 1 specifically, I think is the best city night has ever looked at a movie. Because it's like straight up just blue.
Yeah.
And it just looks so good. You're right. There's a haze to it. Oh, I just love it.
Yeah, so Christopher Reeve, the costume looks great. It's a great Superman. I love how colorful it is. There's an interesting, especially in the second one, an interesting balance of like, he's just saving kids most of the time, which is really cool to just see a superhero do. Because, again, I'm not trying to be like, ooh, Marvel stinks or anything like that. But like, I'm a Justice League guy, always have been.
Mm-hmm.
I love those, like, who's that artist who does the, like, 1950s painting style shit?
Alex Ross.
Yeah, that shit looks awesome. I love that the bad guys are called the Legion of Doom. Oh, yeah. I love that it's called the Justice League of America. It just has such, like, a slice of cherry pie, like, Americana, 50s thing to it, the DC Universe does. You know what I mean? I love Green Lantern and Superman and Batman. It just all has this, like, just, like, so frickin' just...
It's classic.
It's just got, like, it's got Coca-Cola pop to it.
Absolutely.
You know? It's got, like, just a... Anyways, this film, great. The rant I was going on is I like seeing Superman just, like, save a fucking kid, which is, like, to me, this is very specific. This is hyper-specific. Just last night, like, I just remember, like, seeing on Reddit, it was like r/Marvel that it was like Captain America's team and like Iron Man's team, and it was like under any other circumstance, like Iron Man's team would like wash this team, and like in the comments, every single comment was like, well, that wasn't the fucking point of that fight. The fucking point of that fight was to get Steve Rogers and fucking Bucky out of there. They were just trying to distract the Iron Man fucking team so they could do that. And it's just like, can they just save a kid? Why are they ego fighting in the middle of a battlefield? The Marvel is, I'm gonna say it, it's gay. I don't like this.
Yeah. It's I I hate those kind of arguments that happen. I think specifically with Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And people try to drag DC stuff into it too.
Yeah.
Where they argue about them like they're sports teams.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, it's
This
a bunch.
is
It's a
a
bunch of.
movie.
It's a bunch of fun make 'em ups.
Yeah.
All right, let's just
And put them in underwear. Why are none of them wearing underwear?
Some
you
silly
know?
little pants. Yeah.
Saving kids was cool. I like when he gives up his powers. I'm jumping all over the place. I'm just looking at these notes. We can look at your notes in a moment, or you can jump
go
in whenever
for
you
it.
want. But I love when he loses his powers and he just gets his dick punched in.
Immediately. Just the first thing that happens to him is
it takes him 2 minutes to be like, I prefer being a Superman.
You know what? I don't think I love you that much. This really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait. Sorry, go on. I was going to talk about the differences between the other two. When he gets up his powers and he talks to his dad. You know what I'm talking about?
Marlon Brando, yeah.
In the other one,
Yeah.
the original cut, no Marlon Brando.
Really?
Everybody, I talked a little bit about it last week. The Saltzmans, who are the producers or whatever of these two movies, are just real scumbags. Like there's like a law called like the Saltzman rule or something like that. That's like you're not allowed to film a movie and then break it up into two movies but still pay everybody for one movie.
Yeah.
Because they did that on Three Musketeers and then they tried to do it on Superman. And yeah, they were just fucking everybody over. And so like they fired Dick Donner and then so everybody basically left because of it, except for Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando sued them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It was just like, I just want more money. And they were like, okay, fine. And they paid him more money, but they're like, we're cutting him out of Superman 2 so he can't try this shit again.
Yeah.
And so in the other cut, there's just no Marlon Brando.
Weird.
They just replace him with
Because I feel like the father-son stuff is like
it's
so
so
integral
important to this. Yeah, it's crazy.
and Superman in general, but yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, they just replace him with his mom and then other people, like scientists on Krypton and stuff like that.
Weird.
Very strange, yeah.
Weird.
Also, I mean, we'll get to it when we get to it. So much of this Downer Cut stuff is so clearly like test footage cobbled together with like deleted scenes and stuff like that. It's very, very odd. Very tough watch. Sorry, go with your notes.
They're just having fun, and I wrote that down because when Zod and Ursa and what's the other one?
Gronk.
When they show up, they're just like when they show up at the White House and they just like one of them takes in like the AK or whatever, just starts shooting. That's what I was trying to say about like that. It's such a fun like juxtaposition between like Superman just being like, oh golly jeez, and like saving a kid, and then you know fucking Zod shows up and he's like, well, AK, and kills like 9 men in one.
And I love Ursa, how she every time you see her, she has more and more badges on from military guys that she's killed.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I wrote down only way to be better is if Richard Pryor was here.
You ever seen Superman 3?
No. Yes, I have. Yeah.
I ain't never seen no Superman 3.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to see Superman 3.
Why? Is that the Quest for Peace or is that 4?
That's 4.
Okay.
I'm afraid to see any other Superman movie from the 70s or 80s besides these two. I don't know
Really?
why. I can't imagine them being good, so I just kind of want to stay away from them.
Okay.
There's a lot that like I don't love about these two movies, but I do overall like them. I think they're just goofy's not the right word.
Campy.
Not cheesy. Just cheesy in ways that I really don't like.
It's got a lot of DNA with like 70s sci-fi film. Like it reminds me of like Logan's Run a lot.
Yeah. Like my least favorite thing about Superman, the character in general, is his big cold breath.
You don't like that?
Silly. Every single time I see it.
Yeah.
There are like 4 uninterrupted minute scenes in this movie where people are just standing going blowing shit away. And
I saw a clip from the new one.
Goofy.
He does it to crypto. He blows crypto away.
I don't like it.
No? Okay. I like the breath, okay? I'll go on record saying I like the breath. I wrote down so colorful. We talked about it.
Oh,
colorful.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Love it. Love when a movie's colorful. You know probably better than I do, as you are a nerd about the science fictions, not the science fiction, but the special effects stuff and the CGI stuff and the post. Too much stuff happening in post. I know that they like generally shoot things like flats, colorless, because it's easier to work with in post and stuff or whatever. Yeah. I'm tired of it, okay?
Yeah.
Show me a color.
I think that's even movies that aren't heavy on special effects. They shoot them and they look pretty gray. And then somebody whose job it is to color a film comes in and makes it colorful. I mean, I'm sure they work with the director and stuff like that. But there's no excuse for like a Iron Man or a Spider-Man movie to
Yeah,
be great.
I'm just thinking about like even just like those movies like where what is the one with like Channing Tatum like wakes up in space or whatever, or movies like Divergent. I'm just saying like name a movie and it's just like, have you guys ever heard of A Color?
Look, I'm looking at this movie right now. It's just these guys in the room in NASA talking to the guys on the moon.
Yeah, there's all those colors.
There's all the lights above them are purple.
Yeah.
In real life, that room would never be purple.
Yeah.
But they're like, fuck it, it's a movie. Let's make it look good.
Yeah.
Let's make it look different
I
than
feel
this
like
blue-gray moon that
I got taken to a
second.
dream world of magic.
It's great. Also, this astronaut is wearing a baseball hat.
Yeah. Love it.
Love it.
Yeah. Reminds me of freaking Paris, Texas guy in Alien.
Yes.
What's his name? Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the stuff on the moon, fun. I like how they just show up and they're just like, look at me. Killing this guy. Look at this. Another guy. Killed him.
What? What's the movie? I think it's Role Models. Remember that movie Role Models?
Yeah.
There's a part in that I think quite often where Elizabeth Banks is a lawyer and she's talking to her client. And she's like, well, they clearly have you on tape stealing TVs. And he goes, that could be anybody. And then she like turns the audio on and it's him going, look at me. Barry Saltzman, stealing TVs. And Jen Ryan just, look at me. General Zod, on the moon, killing people.
Yeah. Only maybe better if Richard Pryor. Then there's a point where Ursa throws a manhole cover at Superman and he like, like that. I wrote down, sick. I loved it.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good move.
I love when right after that, Superman does a cool prank and he picks up Zod and then spins him around like a baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that's something else that I definitely noticed watching it. I was just like, there's no real like straight up punch fighting happening. It's all this like stuff like that, like throwing a manhole cover, or like
throwing Superman through a marble truck
it's
four
almost
times.
it's almost like Looney Tunes. Yeah, I wrote down Marble Truck, sick.
Oh yeah, the best image I've ever seen with my eyes is a picture of Superman emerging from a Marlboro Reds truck. It's so cool.
And I also wrote down It's a Wonderful Life because at the end they're like, hey, these guys beat up Superman, and they're like,
yes, I love
Superman.
that.
I love it. I do. So overall, me, we're gonna talk more. But I'm just saying, I like this film. I like the first one. I'm a fan generally of the Dick Donner Superman, and those are my reasons. It's colorful. He's saving kids. It's fun.
What more could you want?
What more could you want? I will put one gripe in the gripe bucket for me, and then we can move on to like gear notes and stuff. Both movies are going to end with him reversing the rotation of the Earth to undo everything that we just watched.
I'm so glad you asked. While they were filming these two movies, when they started filming, they had an end to Superman 2, but they did not have an end to Superman 1. And I guess apparently when Dick Donner was trying to figure it out, he went, I'll just steal this ending for Superman 2, and in Superman 1, he will reverse time, and then by the time I finish Superman 2, I'll think of a new ending. And so in 2006, when he put this together, he went, I'm just using the reverse time ending. I don't give a shit. So, he wasn't supposed to, but he did. I think in the original cut of Superman 2, the Richard Lester cut, he kisses Lois and wipes her memory, because Superman can do that, I guess. He can suck the memories out of your mouth.
That reminds me of one of my favorite, Andy, Andy, fuck that comedian that was on Harmontown every now and again. Andy Kindler.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of bits about Superman or whatever, the old show, and one of them is he's like, there's a scene he's like where Jimmy Olsen turns to Clark Kent and goes, oh jeez, I bet Superman knows where Lois Lane is, and Clark turns to him and goes, it's not he's not psychic, Jimmy. And he's like, like the bit is just him being like, yeah, geez, Jimmy, God, good fucking, what are you, retarded? It's a fucking Superman, okay? He's just a Superman. He's not psychic, Jimmy. So, shouts out Andy Kindler.
Shout out to Andy Kindler.
Yeah.
I love Lex Luthor in this one more than I like him in the last one.
Yeah.
Every time Gene Hackman's on screen in this movie, I'm like, hell yeah, this guy.
Yeah. Me personally, I'm glad that they divorced him from the bumbling guy.
Yes.
That was too much.
But maybe my favorite joke in this is when they're running out of jail, and what's her name is in the hot air balloon, and she goes, psst. And Lex goes, did you psst? He goes, no, I went before we left.
That's good. But yeah, I love every time he's like, yeah, what? You're going to kill the guy who knows Superman's address?
And I love when they're in the White House talking, and General Zod and all of them get up because they're going to leave, and he's like, well, he does a Columbo, like, one more thing. And while he's talking, you can see him, like, he's playing it cool. I think Gene Hackman plays it perfectly because he's playing it cool, but at the same time, he's just like very carefully, daintily, like, I'm going to sit at the president's desk. I'm going to put my feet up on the desk.
Yeah. Remarkable how much bald Kevin Spacey looks like Lex Luthor's, Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
In the Superman Returns film.
I watched that, I want to say not too long ago, but it was probably 5 years ago at this point. Superman in that movie, Brandon Routh, has, I think, brown eyes in real life. Do you know what color Superman's eyes are?
They're usually blue, right?
Yeah. So they put blue contacts on him. Have you ever seen blue contacts on a person?
No.
It's horrifying. It looks... It literally just looks like paint. Like somebody painted around his pupils.
Really?
Just like a thick blue paint.
Yeah.
And it looks... It's the most distracting thing I've ever seen. It's more distracting than somebody being picked up by a wire in this movie to be flown around. I love when they go to town. The bad guys go to town.
Yeah.
They go to town on that town, and that boy gets on that horse to run away.
Why did they give Superman, they give him such low-rise little pants. It makes his body look long in such weird ways.
You're right.
In this Superman, he looks so long in weird ways because of that.
He is real lanky. I've never really put
And
that together.
I think it's mainly the way that how low they put that
it's
belt.
little panties, yeah.
It makes his torso look unproportionally long.
Yeah. Also, the red's too dark.
Yeah, the colors are a little too muted.
He looks like the evil Superman from Superman 3.
Who made this one?
Oh, the X-Men guy who turned out to be a pedophile.
I would like... Oh, there we go. Color corrected. That looks awesome. Looks way better with... So here's something I'd want to say is I feel like Bizarro.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a cool thing to see in a movie.
I think it might be in the new one.
Cool.
Here's my half-court shot on this movie. Do you know who Ultraman is?
No.
I'm getting real in the weeds with you here. In the comics, there's an alternate universe where...
Isn't Ultraman the name of the fucking dad in Invincible?
That's Omni-Man.
Oh, okay, sorry. My bad.
But in DC Comics, they have like an alternate universe.
Are you doing math over there?
No, I'm writing down time codes for when we bump the table, so it's easy for me to do later.
Yeah.
Alternate universe where there's just an evil Justice League. Literally, it's all of them. They're
the
same
Justice
people.
League of Evil.
Pretty much, yeah. And evil Superman's name is Ultraman.
Okay.
Ultraman's in this new one, in this new Superman we're gonna go see. But he's got like a full suit on, like a big purple suit with a mask on and everything.
Yeah.
And he works for Lex Luthor. I'm gonna say he's gonna be a Bizarro.
Okay.
I'm gonna say he's gonna take all this stuff off and he's gonna be like me, Bizarro. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. You like Bizarro?
I love Bizarro.
Yeah.
Because he's like the most... Everything I was saying I don't like about this movie with like the cold breath and just the silly little kiss you and you forget kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Love all that on Bizarro.
Yeah.
Like Bizarro has cold eyes and hot breath instead of hot eyes and cold breath.
Yeah.
And you know how Superman can see very far away?
He's nearsighted.
He can see a little bit behind his own head. I just love that shit.
It's good.
It's so good.
I watched Batman Forever not too long ago.
Ooh, that's the one with Val Kilmer?
Yeah.
Did we not watch it for this show?
Did we?
Because I also watched it. I can't imagine me watching it for any other reason.
I can't remember.
Let's pretend that we didn't. Tell me, Chris, how'd you feel about Batman Forever?
It feels... I still feel a little bit of the Tim Burton in there, you know? It's still pretty close to that.
It's such a good-looking movie.
There are times where... Did we do it for the podcast? There are times where I think we definitely talked about it. Can't remember.
We had to have, but I can't imagine why.
But, I mean, we could check. We can always check is the thing.
Yeah, but would it be funnier if we didn't?
But there are times when it feels a bit... I don't think we did. Hellblade 2, Bladetron,
Bladetron,
Lillard's Fog of Constantine, Back to the Escape from the Future of New York, Heat Forever. Yep, we did.
Gotcha.
We did. All right, forget everything. Moving on. Yeah, Lex Luthor, the bad guy, Zod. The whole time I kept thinking something that lives in my head rent free is Michael Shannon going, "I will find him."
Yes.
From Man of Steel.
And you know the equivalent to that in this movie that I love that I wrote down in my notes.
Huh.
They're in the Phantom Zone, that little prism, that
Yeah.
album cover that's flipping. It looks so silly, but every time I see it, I'm like, they look so cool in there.
Yeah.
When they break it, the missile hits them and they explode and they get out. Zod flies away and goes, "Free!"
Kneel before Zod.
I love when they go to town on the town and that boy gets on that horse to run away to go get help. And Zod's like, "I said nobody leaves." And Grok, or whatever his name is, picks up whatever and just throws it. And you see it go down and like whistle and it hits it and it explodes. The boy explodes. And that woman goes, "He was just a boy." And what's her name? Ursa goes, "And now he'll never be a man." I'm like, that's so cold. That's so sick.
Yeah. They're pretty cold. But yeah, what else do you have notes wise? What are your thoughts on this film?
I don't know why they make a souffle at one point. That seems very silly to me.
Yeah.
Could have done without it.
I will say, to me, breezed by. It's 2 hours, but it
Yes.
did not drag.
My favorite scene in this movie is when they are in the hotel room. She like just got out of the shower. He brings her flowers or whatever, and she's still trying to pin him on being Superman.
Yeah. And the gun?
And with a gun. The like,
Blanks.
I love the
Yeah,
little
it's
thing.
good.
One, I love that it looks like test footage. Like I don't like because like when you're seeing her, he has a big thick mop of hair, and the one is just him. He's got the closest haircut you've ever seen,
Yeah.
and he has different glasses on. I'm pretty sure. But yes, I love all that. I love
That's
when
good.
she shoots him and he does the fun stand straight up thing, and you know if you were wrong, you would have just killed Clark Kent. Not with blanks. It's like, oh, you got him. I love.
They bang in his silk sheets.
I hate it. I love that where they're like, you just watch them destroy that town, and he goes, "Where's Superman?" And it cuts to him just conked out.
Yeah. Smoking Kryptonian cigarettes post sex.
Love it. No, it was probably Marlboros because there's fucking product placement all over this movie. I love also. I just have a lot of notes about them fucking up that town. I love when they call in the army, and the army is one jeep with 4 men in it, and then 20 guys just kind of walking. What else? I love when they're at the Daily Planet, and Jimmy comes in with coffee, and Lex Luthor takes it and goes, "It's for the chief." And Lex goes, "Chief's got it." Just love Gene
That's
Hackman.
good.
It's so
Yeah, that's good.
And then I got nothing. Why did? Okay. He reverses time, so none of that ever happened. Everybody forgets everything, and then he goes back to that diner after to beat up that guy.
Yeah.
That guy didn't beat up Clark Kent anymore. That guy has no idea what's going on.
It reminds me of the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Have you ever seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
I don't believe so.
Funny, okay? Sue me. I think it's funny. The whole thing about the film is that they basically find out that they're going to make a Blunt Man and Chronic movie, which is basically, about Jay and Silent Bob. But that they're not going to get any money for it. That they're kind of, being shafted in that sense. So they go to Hollywood to try to, be like, yo, what the hell, So a big running gag in the film is that, they go to see Ben Affleck, and they're like, Ben Affleck says something like, "Oh yeah, they're making a Blunt Man and Chronic movie." And he's like, "The fuck are you talking about? They're making a Blunt Man and Chronic movie?" He's like, "Yeah, it's all over the internet." He's like, "What the fuck is the internet?" And so then Ben Affleck has to explain the internet to them. And their whole thing, I think, there's like a B plot, not a huge B plot, but a running gag that yes, they want to get their money, but also there's all these people online being like, "Dude, this movie's gonna suck. This is fucking dumb." And so they go to the in-universe movie or whatever, the burger shop, and they have kiosks where you can access the internet, right? And so they respond in mass to all the comments, and it's just Jay being like, and I love this line. This is the thing I love about Kevin Smith is overall the movie might be dumb or whatever, blah blah blah, but I love that they don't know what the internet is. So he says to Silent Bob, he says yo, Silent Bob, type this shit down real quick. Like, instead of write it down, like, type it down. You know? So funny. So, it just immediately, in the middle of the movie or whatever, he's like, you are the ones who are the ball lickers. We're gonna fuck your mothers while you watch and cry like little whiny bitches. After we get to Hollywood and stop those Miramax fucks from, making our movie, we're gonna eat your shit. And then we're gonna shit out your shit and make you eat the shit that we ate that you shit out. And then all you motherfuckers are not good, basically. And I just, it just gets me the type this shit down. That's one of my favorite jokes in it, and there's like two others that I love. Another one is he falls asleep and has this hallucination that the Scooby Gang like picks them up when they're hitchhiking and ends up like harvesting their organs or whatever. And there's just this scene where Jay wakes up sleeping in Bob's lap and everybody's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. And when he wakes up, he's like, you see anything back there? Like just him doing the checking to make sure that Scooby-Doo didn't steal his organs. Hilarious. The third thing that I want to mention is I used to own like an evening with Kevin Smith.
Yeah. And
this all ties in because in an evening with Kevin Smith, either one or two, he talks at length about how he wrote a Superman.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with like the having to fight the giant spider or whatever the fuck, and how like that's exactly what the terraforming thing looks like. And Man of Steel is something he would talk about later, but these are from like 2002, 2003, so Man of Steel had not happened. But he talks, forever. In literally, there's like a 2-night thing. One's in like Toronto and one's in like New York or something. And like the Toronto night, he genuinely, over the course of like 2 or 3 hours, only answers 2 questions. Like he's a fucking certified yapper. But he talks a lot about how like he was like, the problem with like my scripts were just that it was like, it would be like a Clerks film, and then Superman would be like, oh shit, there's some stuff happening over there, and then they'd wander over, do it real quick, and then come back to just talking, But, so, the reason why I'm going on at length about this, who fucking knows? I guess I'm just going Kevin Smith mode generally. Oh, he talks about how Harley Quinn, when she was growing up, was, like, put off by cursing. Mm-hmm. So, the only way that she would, like, watch his films were on mute, And she was like, and he was like, and she loved watching Jay and Silent Bob on mute or whatever. And like, he's like, there's this one scene where Silent Bob jumps through like a manhole or whatever and gets stuck like Winnie the Pooh, like he's fat, And she was like, and I'll never forget, she's watching it, and that happens. She goes, just like Winnie the Pooh.
That's so good. I love
Anyways, so yeah, back to Superman. This is a long rant about nothing. Where were we about Superman?
Last note I have.
Yeah.
Well, no, the diner, real quick. Favorite
Sure.
line of this movie. And probably like top 10 one-liners in a movie.
Sure.
At this point for me. So like, I guess eating at the diner, that he's gonna come and kick the shit up.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey Deborah, give me another plate of this garbage." And then Clark walks in and goes, "Well, I've never seen garbage eat garbage before."
Boom, roasted.
So good. Also, this is a complaint about the first movie, but they show it at the beginning of this movie in a little recap.
Sure.
I always remember that when baby Clark crashes in
I always remember
Kansas,
the baby dick. I don't know why they show the baby dick.
that kid's too old to be that nude.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's like a less than toddler who gets up and is waddling around.
Yeah,
with his
it's like a
little...
4 or 5 year old boy.
This kid's like 9.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I think it is funny though in the first movie, like it makes sense totally as much as it can, but I love how much time passes with him just like his dad just being like, this is Einstein's theory of relativity, and he just has more hair every single shot.
I gotta watch the first one again. It's been too long.
Yeah. So that's Superman 2, the Donner cut.
I'm gonna give it.
I've never seen. I probably have seen the original. What I mean to say is I haven't seen the other cut recent enough to know the differences.
It's done by the guy who did A Hard Day's Night and Help. So apparently it's wacky.
Yeah.
It's way wackier than this one. And none of that. I really like at the end of this one when I don't. Okay, here's my biggest problem with this movie: the whole "you can't be Superman if you're gonna have a girlfriend" thing. Kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But it does make me.
You're a Superman.
Before he rewinds time, I like the bittersweet ending of this, where she's like, "Okay, and I guess I'll see you at work tomorrow." And he goes, "I'll see you at work tomorrow." And she goes, "I'll just be kind of less mean to you, I guess." And it's like, oh, that's really sad. But also, Superman, fucking forget about this lady.
Yeah.
She does not like you. She likes Superman.
Yeah. She's pretty superficial.
Yeah. But also, yeah. I just like...
And it reminds me of the ending of the what was the most recent Spider-Man with all the Tobey Maguires?
Spider-Man Too Many Tobies.
Yeah. It reminded me of the end of that, where he's just like, I guess I'll go get a studio apartment in the city where my girlfriend doesn't remember me.
I guess I'll work on my GED or whatever.
Yeah. Because I dropped out to hang out with Tony Stark's.
I'm going to give Superman 2, the Dick Donner cut, a B.
Yeah, I'm giving it a flat B.
Flat B.
Yeah. And we watched another film.
Yeah, Chris, what we watch?
One of my faves, Mask of the Phantasm.
When did this come out?
This came out in 96, 94?
3.
93.
I asked them and immediately saw with my eyes. It was on
Yeah.
the page I'm looking at.
I believe it is the only animated Batman film to get a theatrical release. Got released on Christmas Day, I believe.
That's exciting. It's very fun. Ooh, could you imagine going on Christmas to go see a Batman the Animated Series movie? That would
Be awesome,
so
yeah.
nice.
You know, what can we say about this that hasn't been said about the series itself? I love the Art Deco style. I love the idea of, like, what if Max Fleischer serial was Batman? It's one of those concepts that from inception to execution, I just feel like everything worked out. You know what I mean? Like, the stars just aligned with that show.
Yeah.
I love the way that it looks. I love that they animated the whole thing in black paper. It gives a very unique look. It has a very unique vibe. I think about it often. It's just one of those shows that oozes itself.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just it's so unique and what do they call it? On an island of its own or something, or of itself or whatever. It's just it's unique. It reminds me of the same way that, like, unmistakably you could turn on the TV and there could be a black and white TV show on, but if it's the Twilight Zone, you can tell. Like, you can just it just oozes what it is. It
Yes.
is its own essence. So. Love the animated series. Love this film. I think Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, and I'm sure there's a million other very talented people who are involved. But I mean, just from the soundtrack, I love the orchestral, like, freaking, like, the choral chanting. Great. Like I said, the animation, great. The pacing, great. This thing just clips along. Emotional beats hit sincerely. It's a cartoon and it's a little, like, cheesy or whatever to, like, repeat out loud. I mean, it's very dramatic. Like I thought things would be different. Please, like, you have to understand, like, when he's, like, begging with his parents and stuff. But again, it's a cartoon. It's a comic. This is Batman. It is silly. It is dramatic. It is, I like that the series is able to not necessarily shy away from, like, that camp of the medium, and also, like, to treat it with, it reminds me of the Grant Morrison thing, like, just approaching it like, yes, this is ridiculous, but that does not mean bad.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
So, yeah.
It's earnest.
He's a Batman. But anyways,
That's
yes.
what I like about the animated series and this. It's just, I was thinking about it while watching it, is what even, like, I was thinking about, you almost said it exactly. There's a part where, like, one of the bad guys goes, "Let's get his stinking guts," or something like that. It's such a silly thing to say, but, like, but they are just saying it with their full chest.
Yeah,
and
they want his guts,
show.
dude. They want his stinky guts.
His stinky little guts, and it's just so, they're just doing it to everything to the best of their ability, and it's so nice. I was gonna send it to you, but I forgot. But I listened to a interview with Grant Morrison the other day.
Yeah. There's a long, like, at least two-parter that he does with Kevin Smith I'd recommend. Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. He was on, I can't remember what it was called. It was some, like, comic book podcast that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I can just listen to him talk for forever. He was talking about All-Star Superman, which is a book that he wrote that is arguably the best Superman book.
Nick loves it.
Nick loves it. It's got a Nick's patented 2 thumbs up. And I just love listening to that guy talk about comics and comic book characters, because he talks about them, and it has to be his Scottish accent too. It has to be part of it too. But he just says shit where you're like, oh yeah, no shit, yeah. Like he was talking about Superman in this, and one he was talking about how when he got the job to write All-Star Superman, and he was writing it, his career was at its peak. It had never done better. His career was taking off. He had just got married, and his dad just died. He's like, oh, I'm at the halfway point in my life. I'm, like, at the peak, and it's just downhill from here, kind of. He goes, okay, so that's what's going to be happening to Superman, I guess. I'm going to write that through Superman when I think about that book. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's beautiful. But he said this thing about Superman, about how he's, Superman's like the beacon of hope, and Superman's whole thing is hope. He was like, that's not it. Superman wasn't in Hope comics. Superman was in Action Comics. He's not sitting out in space, all ethereal like a god with his cape all flowy and stuff like that. He's a mensch. He's getting down there and he's getting shit done because that's what you should be doing too. And he just goes on and on about like cave drawings and Nietzsche and like just like the first people to be like hey, instead of like imitating, we're humans, instead of like imitating animals and stuff like that and trying to do what they're doing, what about these gods and like angels that we think of? What if we tried to be more like them, like that idea? And he goes, and that goes on and on and on until it is, in my opinion, perfected with this little glyph that those two Jewish guys made in the 30s, and that is Superman. It's just a symbol that kids can understand that, hey, no matter what, deep down, if you rip that shirt off, you have a little Superman symbol on you underneath. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet, Grant Morrison. What a mensch. I love it. Anyway, back to Batman. Sorry.
Yeah, and one of the last things I'll say is in the Kevin Smith interview he does with Grant Morrison, that's something that I remember hearing Grant say that I think about all the time, where he talks about, like, how the town that he lived in like, Scotland or whatever, like, on the other side of, like, the bay was an American nuclear site. And he was like, so that was like the vibe of the whole town was like, we would literally watch these ships sail in with nuclear weapons and like basically like death. Like we were living next door to death kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He's like, but ironically, like I got into comics because those American soldiers not only brought death with them, but they also brought the one thing that could stop a nuclear weapon. They brought Superman and all these like superheroes and stuff. And like, so I fell in love with them because it was like that's cool. Super cool. Anyways, Batman. I also love this because I feel very fortunate to have grown up in like the 90s because two things that I love the most from my childhood are Batman and Scooby-Doo, and
the perfect pair.
Yeah, and they've met a couple of times.
You love mystery is what you love.
I do love mystery and horror and noir and Columbo and Twilight Zone and stuff like that. And I feel like those things are all related. I feel like you can easily draw a line from the things that I was into as a kid to like what I like now. But the reason why I said the 90s thing is because you had things like Mask of the Phantasm, and then you had like Scooby-Doo stories like Zombie Island or stuff like that, where like it was an interesting time where like shit like Scooby-Doo or Batman was just like, what if we wrote this like it was like not for dumb little babies, you know what I mean? Like, and so what I'm trying to say is like this is a semi-decent like respectable like noir film about gangsters and gangsters getting knocked off and trying to figure out who's knocking off the gangsters and stuff. Like, I was watching this the whole time and I was like, yeah, no shit. I grew up to love LA Confidential.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Chucky, Saul, your angel of death awaits, I love, on a side note, just because I'm rambling, but the way the Joker's portrayed here, like just living alone in the frickin' the World's Fair thing, and him just showing up and like, the Batman this guy ain't. I've seen him. Like, this is something totally different. But
I really like him in this movie because I wrote it down. I think the Joker in everything, I think in most things, is like, every time he shows up, you're like, I love this guy.
Yeah.
It's this guy again. Even when it's Mark Hamill and stuff like that. And every now and then he'll do something and you're like, oh, this guy's dangerous.
Yeah.
What I really like about him in this one is that he's just kind of scary.
Yeah.
The entire time, but every now and then he'll do something and you're like, man, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But then he's just like unsettling the entire time. I'm like, I like that. I think that's how it should be.
Like when he snaps on that old guy with asthma and stuff or COPD, and he's just like, "Don't get your dirty hands on me." You can wrinkle my suit, or like it's like you're like, oh, you should.
Also, I was loving that mobster just up at first. He calls him Paisan. That made me so happy.
Yeah. But yeah, you get the cold open. He kills Chucky, Saul. The Phantasm thing happens, and then it basically teeters between, like I said, this is, in my opinion, like this is peak Batman, peak Gotham. Like I love like shady rooms where gangsters are making deals, and a lady named Adrian is flying back into town that like Batman knows, and then there's like some shady like lawyerish type guy who is like also interested in her and jealous of Bruce Wayne and tied up in the mob shit, and she's tied up in the mob shit because that's just all Gotham is a bunch of mob shit. And now all the gangsters are getting knocked off, and isn't it a weird coincidence that she's in town? And then there's like the Scream twist where they kind of think it's the dad for a second, but oh no, it's actually her. But and you get to see them meeting in the meet cute in the cemetery where they're both mourning their. You're shaking your head.
I don't get their relationship because I was thinking about it at first.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne, rich man,
Yeah.
can pull anyone he likes, but this woman is so rich that in her 20s and 30s she calls her father daddy.
Yeah.
So she has money.
Oh yeah.
So you can take that out of the equation.
Yeah.
What about Bruce Wayne would be appealing to any woman? Let me start with the way they meet. She's quietly mourning her mother, and he goes, "What'd you say?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "I'm talking to my dead mom, who's dead." He goes, "What?" She goes, "I'm talking to her." And he goes, "That's weird." And then he leaves, and she goes, "Yeah, that was Bruce Wayne." He goes, "Did you say my name?" She's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like, what are you? And he leaves, and then for whatever reason, she shows up at his house.
They have sex in the garden.
He was doing kung fu by himself in his backyard, and she's like, "Okay." And then she makes a joke about it, and he goes, "This is very serious.
Yeah.
That should be it." And then later, they're at the World's Fair or something, and she's in the middle of talking, I'm pretty sure, and he goes, "Oh,
look at this badass car."
Oh. The thing I like about that, though, this is my own headcanon making the movie make a little bit more sense. I don't like that she sees Batman by the Wayne's grave and goes, "It's Bruce."
Yeah.
I'm like, that seems way too quick. So I like to think about that. Some of these flashbacks are hers going, "Oh yeah, he saw that car and that's the Batman's." It's just like, "Oh, and he was doing jujitsu in his backyard."
Okay.
Like I like to think that's her putting together that it's Batman, not so much just him remembering all of them.
Sure.
Just so happening to coincide with him becoming Batman for the first time.
I like it. I wanted to say that I do like the I like the year one element of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's done concisely, very economical.
I like when he jumps down and just that mask and goes, "All right, everybody, knock it off," and everyone's like,
"This poser." I love when he's like, "They need to be afraid of me," or whatever. I love, it's corny as it is, but like when he puts the mask on for the first time and Alfred's just like, "Oh, sir," So yeah, good stuff.
I'm looking at it right now. I love that shot of Andrea and that one scumbag at dinner together, and then you can just the entire time just see them almost right next to them. Batman just has binoculars. Looking at them.
But yeah, I think this is a good example of Batman's always had one foot in like gothic horror and like Frankenstein-y kind of like just like turn of the century 1900s Marvel. I mean Marvel isn't like a modern Marvel. Art Deco, like just this like noir, creepy ghosts. It has a supernatural stank to it, and yeah, I love the gothic elements of this. I love that it's basically a slasher film. I love the I can't remember the guy's name, but the one who gets like trapped underneath the frickin' angel in the graveyard. He's like trying to dig his way out of the 6 foot deep grave and stuff. There's some pretty like dark and menacing elements to this thing. I love the old gangster with the COPD thing, and his relationship with the Joker and trying to pay him to kill the Batman. When I was a kid, and I've talked about this on the podcast probably, it's still an episode I think about often, one of my favorite episodes of the animated series, I feel like it's really strong in the first half. The second half maybe could have been better, but it is basically like this guy is having like a really tough day. You're just following a random Gotham citizen. And, work shitty, he's going home late, he's in traffic, someone cuts him off, and he's like, "Fuck that." And like zooms around him and cuts him off back or whatever, like tries to cuss him out, and it's the Joker. And so he like gets followed home by the Joker or whatever, and the guy's like so freaked out that he's like, "I need to go into witness protection." So then you flash forward like 5 years, and this guy's like living a totally different life with his wife and his kids and happiness suburb and stuff like that. And then the Joker kind of pulls up and like it's like a genuinely like a scary thing, you know what I'm saying? I should mention before that earlier when the Joker stalked him post fight, it gets to a point where like you think, and sort of the guy that like the Joker's about to kill him, but instead he's like, "No," he's like, "He just owed me a favor now," kind of thing or whatever. And so like he comes back for the favor and like makes the guy do something. It has like this very like Raymond Carver vibe to it, because like all the Joker wants is like, he's like, "You just need to deliver a cake to this," and the cake is later on, it's like whatever, it's like Jim Gordon's retirement party or something like that. He's like hiding inside of it with a gun or something, whatever it is, but that there's definitely like a comedic element to that where he shows up, he's like, "Deliver a cake?" You know, he's like, oh man, I've wasted like 5 years on witness protection. You know, so working with the Joker family deliver it, whatever. So, but great episode. I wish I could remember what it's called, but I love that. And I think it's the same thing you were saying about the Joker, where it's like he's so menacing and actually scary in that episode as he's like stalking this guy and like tracking him down and stuff. It's great. As for this film, yeah, like I said, I love the like 1920s, 30s, 40s vibe. Not just in the way that it looks, but again, like just that, as I said a minute ago, like smoky rooms with gangsters and a woman in a red dress named Adrian flying back into town to, and they're mixed up in the mob. It just oozes with like oh yeah, baby, like put on a jazz record. Give me some cigarettes. This is And I will say really quick about this. I remember one review I heard of MF Doom's Mad Villain album, Mad Villain, whatever, is that it. To me, I also agree. It sounds kind of out of time. Like it sounds like the 2000s, but they sample so many like old records that it sounds like 40s jazz to me.
Yeah. And
I remember at one point reading someone say that it sounds like the music that'd be playing at a bar in Gotham City or whatever. And I always imagine to me, the way that I interpret that mentally is like it sounds, because of the iconoclastic like combination of like these old like movie clips and like the 2000s like rap thing. It sounds like the musical equivalent of the animated series, where it's like, well, what if rap did exist in a smoky criminal bar in the 40s? It has like this like what if element to it. That's something I've always enjoyed.
I like that a lot.
I always think of Mad Villainy as almost being like something like a version of rap that could exist in the animated series.
Yeah.
Anyways, any notes on your end for? I know it went on for a long time. I love this film. It's very nostalgic for me.
There's a point where they're talking about that councilman.
Yeah.
Who you see in the hospital.
Yeah.
Joker's talking about him to somebody. Joker laughs, and it hard cuts to the hospital, but the scene transitions to Joker's laughing, blending into that guy laughing. Also,
his laughing iconic.
Love that guy's in the hospital with the Joker disease. Doctors know that's what it is, and the doctors are still going, dude, fucking calm down. Knock it off.
Councilman.
What else?
I love that scene. That reminds me of Golden Age horror. It reminds me of like Dwight Fry. He plays Renfield in like the 1931 Dracula, and he has like a laugh where he's like it's like really creepy. But yeah, that laugh, he's going for it. He is bodying that, like where he's just like he's like, oh, they weren't supposed to get hurt. I just needed a little bit of money for the
and that's such a arguably boring scene that you've seen 1,000 times, but to just have that guy be laughing the entire time, I'm like, oh, this makes this just 20% more interesting. That's all it needed. It was great.
It's great.
My big gripe with this movie, the mask of the Phantasm itself.
Yeah.
She's all smoky, bullets pass through her, yada yada. Batman's following the trail. He's like, ooh, there's chemical over here, matches this chemical over here, and then and he's putting it together because he's a detective. And then before he gets anywhere close to figuring it out, the Joker goes, hey, it's here. Look, you're both in the same room. Figure it out. Yeah. But I do love when the Joker and Batman are fighting on that big model city. They look like giant guys fighting through a city.
I love when the Joker's eyes are in those windows. Great.
Oh, I love it.
I just watched Hot Fuzz and I thought, I was like, this is Hot Fuzz.
I love it.
Because they fight in the little model city at the end in Hot Fuzz.
He's got the jetpack. Love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good.
He's rigged the whole thing with explosives.
Classic stuff.
And then I love how it ends with, like, Adrian Beaumont, great name, by the way, getting away on, like, a fucking cruise ship or whatever at the end.
Yes.
That's very, like, 1920s Great Gatsby type shit. Love it. So, sweet. That's all I'm going to say about the film. Sweet.
I'm going to give it B+.
A+?
B+.
B+. I'm giving it an A+.
I think it might just be burnt out on the old Capes Crusader.
Okay. Heard.
That being said, have you seen the Bruce Timm's new Batman they put out a couple of years ago?
No.
Show? I think you would adore it.
Yeah?
I really do. I think it's on Amazon.
Okay.
I think it's just like strictly 1940s Batman.
Yeah.
And it just works really. It's like strictly 1940s it's Batman, but there's still like some sci-fi stuff that happens and some spooky ghosty stuff that happens.
Yeah.
And it's really good. I think you would really enjoy it.
Okay, so our next episode is gonna be the Superman thing.
Yes, I'd like to do Superman.
And
2025. How do you pick?
Oh, I get to pick?
Yeah, Superman's my movie.
That's great. So, as you know, I've been obsessed with Scooby-Doo lately.
I'm really struggling right now. I think
We watched both of those movies, by the way, before you.
what.
In case you were gonna say one of the Scooby Doo movies, we watched.
No,
both
I
of them.
hate those live action movies
Yeah.
so much. I'm not into that. I think I'm gonna go. When's the last time did you grow up watching like the trilogy that came out in like from like 97 to 99 of like Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, and Cyber Chase?
I love.
Or not Cyber Chase, Alien Invaders.
Oh no, I loved Cyber Chase, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think Cyber Chase was like the fourth, like, but the original trilogy, it was like a trilogy. Canonically, those characters had not appeared together except for What's New Scooby Doo in like something like 20 years or something like that. Because basically, like the way that the show went is that they like slowly started pulling away from like Daphne, Velma, and Fred for being boring, and they fixated on Shaggy and Scooby, and then they added Scrappy, and then
Yeah, Shaggy had a red shirt for some reason. I remember. Yeah.
and then eventually they brought like Daphne back, but not Fred and Velma. And then it wasn't until like 96, 97, or whatever, when Zombie Island came out, where they basically gave it like the Mask of the Phantasm treatment. And they were like, okay, this time the monsters are real. And that's something they've been doing for the last 20 years that I don't like.
Yeah.
Actually. We can talk about it more in the next episode. But I think I want to pick Zombie Island just to see. I'm curious what you would think of the thing.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you'd like it or not like it or whatever, it doesn't matter. But something that's interesting to me about, I prefer Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, like the original show, when like every single time it is a guy in a mask.
Yeah.
Because for me, I feel like it's a very soft and almost, dare I say, like easily missed element to the original show, which is that there are not monsters. Human beings do crimes. Like, this is every single time it's a guy fucking like counterfeiting or something, or like, you know what I'm saying, like. And so to me it's the most like safe and childish true crime show that ever has been made ever. It's basically just a true crime. It's literally just they're detectives, and every episode they're literally catching like counterfeiters, and like, you know what I'm saying, like people, like literally most episodes they're making counterfeit money, and they're just trying to scare people away from their operation.
Yeah.
You know. But another thing that's super interesting to me about the original show, and I really honestly, I wish I could pick that as the movie, but it's not a movie, it's a show. I've been reading a lot of analysis about it, and not reading, watching. And another thing that I love is like it has this interesting, like, in my opinion, I would also classify it as the original series, Where Are You, as Southern Gothic. So many of the like backdrops are these like decrepit, like abandoned airfields, or like decrepit abandoned carnivals, or like decrepit abandoned plantations, and like there's like, there's an episode with like old Colonel whatever died, and he left Scooby-Doo his fortune. His fortune is in Confederate money. It's like all this like antebellum South stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the characters just have like Southern names, like Asa Shanks and stuff. Like, it's just so It just has this old Americana thing. I watched a whole analysis from this young gay gentleman on YouTube. I say that because so often he's like, my little gay ass loved Scooby-Doo. It's very funny. But he brought up like even like interwoven into a lot of like the original composition. There's like interpolations of like Yankee Doodle Dandy and stuff, and it just has this like slice of Americana to it that apparently I'm super into. I just said the same shit about the Justice League, but I apparently, I mean, it's, I guess, no secret, I love things like the Twilight Zone and the Columbo. I'm definitely attracted to like the facade of everything being super put together, and then the underbelly of like that, of like the America. I love that. I just love the love the freaking, like, when everybody was wearing suits and stuff, but also, it's just whatever you want to call it, like the Black Dahlia murder, or the D.B. Cooper stuff. Like, I just love that contradiction of like the Americana stuff is like just like how much trying to keep it under wraps, but it's down there, baby.
Yeah,
it's down there. There's a Bigfoot in the forest, aliens in the sky. But anyways, so I think Zombie Island. My personal favorite of the trilogy is Witch's Ghost, which has Tim Curry voicing one of the bad guys. Yeah, and it's set in like Salem, so it has this like very like autumnal vibe.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe watch that one later in the year, but I feel like I'm gonna go ahead. Let's pair the Superman with. I'm gonna go with Zombie Island. That's the first one that was like a sleeper hit and revived the series in like 96 or 97 when it came out or whatever.
Hell yeah.
And I'm curious to see what you think of how it holds up and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the last things I'll say is I'm very passionate about this. I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, and you've talked about it as well. It's one of the things that sets a lot of the animes we like apart. It's one of the things that sets the animated series apart from a lot of other Batman media. But I adore animation by hand.
Yes.
Yeah, I really can't stand digital animation. It's not as interesting to me. Just visually, it captures me. But I love the
feel.
Well, it reminds me of like what we've talked about before with like, something like The Wizard of Oz. It's like you can tell it was done by a human.
Yeah.
Unmistakably, and that's the cool thing. And something I'll say, another YouTuber that focuses primarily on Scooby. I'm forgetting the name, but I think the little gay boy. His name is. I say that with all due respect. I love him. He's a wonderful content. I think it's Scoobytopia.
Okay.
So shouts out to Scoob, or maybe Scoobtopia. But really recommend it if you're interested in some analysis of the original Scooby-Doo series. Very thoughtful.
It might be, actually, yeah.
Super thoughtful. The other one that I can't remember the name of was talking about, like, now that we have, like, 4K scans of this stuff, like, being able to see, because it was such a low-budget production, like, where the cells are split between like what needs to move and what doesn't, and like you can see like dust on the frames and stuff. But he was like, but the thing about it is that it's not like this is like, oh, this is so shitty and bad. It actually endears me to the show because it reminds me that even when animation is a cheap production, it still requires an ungodly amount of work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so it's actually a charming thing, And that's what I'm trying to say is that, like, like I get the quest to try to make it look, in a sense, like otherworldly or inhuman, because you want it to be so good that it's beyond human imperfection. But at the same time, the human imperfection is what reminds us of the blood, sweat, and tears, man.
Hell yeah.
So there is hope, Superman. I fucking hope your movie's good, buddy.
Oh, but I hope this movie is good. I hope this movie's good, but I hope it's not that good.
Why?
Because if it's like if people go bananas over
bananas.
this is the saddest thing I'll ever say to you, Chris. If this movie
You're gonna get too much Superman.
I'm gonna get too much Superman.
If it's too good.
If people love Superman like they love a Iron Man or a Batman.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be mine anymore, and I'm gonna be real sad about it.
Yeah. Yeah. My dream would be to one day get an era of the Justice League of America that could somehow visually, like, if I were in James Gunn's position, my thing would be that guy you talked about, Alan Ross or whatever.
Alex.
I'd be like, let's make 10 years of these movies all look like this and then lead up to a Justice League of America that looks like that.
Yeah.
And then I'd just be like, oh my god. I remembered another joke from the fucking... God, I wish I could plug the comedian's name. But from the Rumble I went to at the Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. One of the Mark Ridley is the dad of one of the guys who used to stop by the Harmontown all the time. Also,
oh really? That's fun.
But he was one of the finalists, and he came back, and he was like he was talking about bidets, and talking about how, like, he's like, I feel like a lot of Americans aren't necessarily into it because, like, they feel like it's like a little like gay or whatever. He's like, it's not a guy in there doing it. Like, you're alone in there, And there's a point where he was like, he's like, also, what are you mad about? He's like, oh no, oh god, I'm. Whatever, I can't remember, wiping up after shooting, whatever, and coming at the same time. Oh my god, my morning routine is like cut in half. Oh no. Yeah.
That's really good.
So, someone else's bit, funny, wish I could plug him, but it's a tough situation. It's 30 comedians in a freaking hour. I can't remember everybody's name, I'm sure you could find most of them by following Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle on Instagram. A lot of funny folks got up that night. And honestly, I'd love to go again. They're doing another one, I think October 30th.
Okay.
Is the next one. It's going to be like Halloween themed. So if you have any interest, I would recommend it. It's like $25 and you get to watch 30 comedians do it. And like I said, I would say like the bomb to an actual laugh ratio was pretty good. Because I've been to open mics before, and it's...
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, like, I was trying to explain to my mom, like, the lady who went on about her dog, I was like, dude, she would have done 5 minutes about that if there wasn't the 90-second. Like, she was not anywhere near being done with that dog story. And there's not an end.
The last open mic I remember being at was... I think you were there.
Yeah.
Someone threw me a surprise birthday party at a bar.
New Way?
Yeah, and there was an open mic comedy thing.
Yeah.
And I remember everybody bombing and it just not being great. And a couple comedians, this is probably why I didn't like it, like singled me out because it was just like, hey, that guy's having a birthday over there.
Yeah.
And also he's on his phone. So they were like getting me and I was like, I don't like any of this. And then I remember the last guy that went up was like a kind of meek looking dude who had his hands in his pockets and he had glasses. If I remember correctly, he pulled out a piece of paper that he was reading his jokes off of. But they were all one-liners about being a necrophiliac. It was just killing. Everybody was loving it.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, is that?
I think that's that.
That's that, Mattress Man.
If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,